Hello, hello, good morning, viewers all over the world. Welcome to CIGM Media Production, live from Sierra Leone. Today, Monday, June 19th, 2023. We continue the road to the June 24, 2023 elections. Today, we are live with you at the Radisson Blue Hotel, bringing you the Commonwealth Observers press conference. The Commonwealth team is in Sierra Leone to monitor the June 2023 elections. The Commonwealth team is led by former Vice President of the Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Professor Osibanjo. Within ASO, you have a full press house and some Commonwealth observers. So we're just waiting for the press conference for start formally. The election, as we all know, is a process, and it doesn't just happen on the 24th. So I'm sure the team is here to observe the process, and they're going to be talking to the press. I assume they're going to be sharing their mandates, their remits, and so far what they've observed for the time they've been here. And so we'll wait patiently to listen to their presentation and then followed by questions and answer. All right, so just observe the ambience as we wait patiently for the press conference to officially or formally start. Keep sharing, follow, like, so that people will be watching with you live.
Thank you everyone for coming. We haven't started yet. The chair is just making some last minute meetings and wrapping up for We'll start shortly. They're on their way down. I'm sorry about the delay. Thank you for your patience. There's a few seats here in the front if somebody wants to have a. Yes, yes. Hi. Yeah, sure, yes. So if you're on the radio, from the radio, you can place your mics up front, if that'll help with your sound.
Remind me what could I not forget?
So this is about the Commonwealth observers.
Josephine said we should move here.
Yeah, but we have the.
All right. Let me sit there.
So do we have besides? I think we should start soon. Be in the center. If you just put it to the side, just as long as there's a little bit of sound. Yeah, great. Yes. And then ensure that they don't get feedback from each other. Okay, thank you everyone. Welcome to the Ramson Blue River Annex. This is our engine room, the Commonwealth Observer Group, who are here in Sierra Leone for the election observation in the country for the next several days and a little bit after the elections to observe and assess what is happening. We have our chair, their activities, His Excellency Yemi Osinbajo, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who is the immediate former Vice President of the who is leading our team. With us also today is Mr. Linford Andrews, who is head of the Electoral Support Section of the Commonwealth Secretariat, and of course, Ms. Abiola Sumonu, who is the head of the Africa Section at the Commonwealth Secretariat. So without further ado, I will hand it over to our chair. We'll have some time to take questions from journalists. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joseph. You with anything. I've had been slightly under the weather, so I just need to wear my mask for the entire period. So I'm sorry that to see all my expressions on my face. For members of the media, fellow observers, citizens of Sierra Leone, it's a privilege to be here at home. Today I'm here not only as a neighbor and a fellow African, but also as a fellow Commonwealth citizen, standing for democracy, the rule of law, and good governance. And it's an honor for me to chair the Commonwealth Observer Group to witness the multi-tier elections taking place within the 24th of June. Our 12-member observer group was constituted by the Commonwealth Secretary General, the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, K. of Sierra Leone, to observe the poll. Members have been drawn from across the entire Commonwealth, representing a wealth of experience and include experts in law, in election administration, human rights, media, and civil society. The group is supported by a staff team from the Commonwealth Secretariat, led by Linford Andrews, who is head of the electoral support. That the warm welcome was received in Sierra Leone has lived up to and even exceeded its reputation as the home of hospitality, dating back to its independence, when the country became an independent state within the Commonwealth in 1961. The Commonwealth has observed every election as well as the general elections of 1996. In other words, the Commonwealth has been an enduring companion of the nation on this extraordinary journey into what it is today. Today, we recognize the significance of these elections to the people of Sierra Leone, the region, and the global community. And we wholly appreciate the challenges of people and must be cherished, nurtured, and leveraged for continued peaceful and sustainable development. As a Commonwealth Observer Group, we're honored to be a part of this important democratic process. But let me be clear, the Commonwealth Observer Group, its function is not to interfere with or direct in any way, but to observe the process as a whole and to make recommendations accordingly. We will observe post-election period. In particular, we will consider whether the conditions exist for credible election, including a fair election environment, whether public media has been impartial in the entire process, whether voters are free to express their will, and whether the counting and results process is transparent. We will then report on whether the elections have been conducted in accordance with the standards, international laws, and its regional and international commitments. In conducting our duties, we will be guided by the principles of neutrality, impartiality, objectivity, and independence. As responsible and experienced Commonwealth citizens, our assessment will be our own and not that of any member government. That said, ahead of us. Over the coming days, we'll be meeting stakeholders, including the Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone, government representatives, political parties, security agencies, civil society, and the media. From the 22nd of June, we will deploy our observers in small teams across parts of the country to observe the voting, counting, and with other stakeholders in respective locations. On election day, we will observe the opening, the voting, the closing, counting, and the results management process. Findings on the 26th day of June before members of the group depart Sierra Leone on the 30th of June. A final report will then be and subsequently shared with relevant stakeholders and made publicly available. Friends and colleagues, you are well aware that this is a crucial and delicate period. The unwavering support of the Commonwealth to this country and its democratic processes. The eyes of more than 2.5 billion of the Commonwealth, of whom are watching in solidarity and hope. The peaceful and prosperous future of the nation lies in your hands, and in violence, division, and hate cannot play a part. The hard lessons that history has taught us through the tragic loss of lives and livelihoods we cannot afford to repeat. Therefore, as 3.3 million registered voters come forth to exercise their democratic rights on election day, expresses its will for its future, may peace and justice and national unity prevail above all. And we enjoin all political parties and their supporters to uphold the commitment of the electorate by the political parties barely 2 weeks ago. And we encourage all citizens to do their part to ensure that a peaceful and credible process takes place on the 24th of June. Emphasize, it's not our diversity that divides us, only the division between those who cherish democracy and those who. On behalf of the Commonwealth Observer Group, I wish the people of Sierra Leone well as they embark upon this historic election. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And that was the official statement, the inaugural statement from the chair of the Commonwealth Observer Group, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. At this time, we can take some questions from the media. Please, when you do have a question, raise your hand, introduce yourself and the media where you come, that you're representing, and your question, and we'll do our best to fit everything in the amount of time that we have. Thank you. Yes, sir, please.
Yes, my name is Abu S. Sarali, and I'm a freelance journalist, but I'm writing for Independent Observer as well and others. My question is, the Commonwealth Observers team is here, and Sierra Leone currently looking at the registrations of voters. There are lots of impediments within that area, which of course think that should be sorted out, because the reason is the opposition parties are crying foul because of the data that are not transparent, and they are not coherent. So how can we go to the polls without no standard data that are clear, crystal to everyone?
We'll just take two at once, just because there's a lot of hands starting to come up.
Joseph Johnson, AYB. I heard Professor saying observers in some parts of Joseph Johnson, AYB, in some parts of the country. We want to know the total number of observers you deploy.
And one more question, please, and then we can go.
Media. The question here is about the electionary process, specifically looking at the violence aspect, because that one is actually know how best is the Commonwealth, be there to actually protect us, especially with the journalists.
So, Chair, colleagues, Commonwealth colleagues, we have had those three questions. Your response, please.
Very much for the questions, and I think the first question is the one by Abu, who wanted to know and the problems associated with registration of voters. Let me say that we've heard those complaints, and of course there are other complaints. We've heard those complaints, and we have only just arrived, but our position is with all the relevant organs, including the Electoral Commission. And we think that it's important that these complaints are thoroughly investigated by the appropriate authorities, and that remedy is sought and obtained wherever that can be done. But our concern at this point is to ensure that we'll be consulting with all of the relevant bodies, and these complaints will also be brought to their attention. We expect that these issues will be thoroughly investigated and actions will be taken by the relevant authorities. But again, just to mention that our role is the role of observers. We are not But as observers, of course, we will do the best we can to communicate the problems and issues that have been identified to the appropriate authorities, and intensive consultations with everyone, the political parties, the Electoral Commission, and even the judiciary. We're going to be speaking to. I think that's a question. And then Joseph Johnson wanted to know how many observers we have in this particular team 12 observers, and we have a deployment plan which we hope will enable us to give and you must understand that no observer group can have the number of observers that it will take to go to practically every polling station. And that's not the election. And of course, pre-election means consultations which we're making with institutions and with political parties and all of that. So we understand. So election day is important, but pre-election, election day, and post-election are also very important. The whole results process and all that, which are management issues. So, and we have a very, I must say, a very experienced team from across the Commonwealth, from several worked in different nations as observers. So we expect that they'll bring their skills and their experience to bear on this very important assignment. To know how the Commonwealth can protect journalists, at least physically. But let me say to you that as you know, the Commonwealth is to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, to the independence of journalism, to the independence of the press, and on which proper democracies stand. And we continue to express those commitments everywhere we go. We communicate those commitments to governments and to institutions. And this is what we support, that perspective of support and our commitments to you and to the process that we can protect your rights. But we can go, but clearly, you do not be in any doubt whatsoever that we support your right to freely seek information, publish information, of course, subject to the laws and constitutions of Sierra Leone. Thank you. So,
Thank you. Okay.
Hello, good morning. Hello.
Yeah, it's on.
Oh, okay.
Just you have to.
Yeah, a UK-based media institution. My question is with regards to peace. We know most recently there was a peace communique signed between all political parties in the presence of the head of Commonwealth Secretariat. But there's been so many reports and allegations of, attacks, intimidation have been circulating. What is the Commonwealth position on that? Because the undertaking for peace was signed in the presence of protecting the safety and security of Sierra Leoneans who will be voting.
Mr. Leone of Choice Media Group.
the name is
Professor Darlington Shillong. Professor, you made a statement deal with the process of the electionary process in this country. We've heard so much about this election with regard to peace process and counter intimidation statement between the two political parties, the main opposition and the ruling. You are going to recommend, what are you going to recommend if there is maybe some infringement of some causes that will cause more damage expected? Are there any other way that Commonwealth can make recommendations before the elections, or so some of the things they've seen that will hinder the progress of peace?
We'll just take a third here.
My name is and I work for the state broadcaster, Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation SLBC. So Professor, on a scale from 1 to 10, observer group rate the electioneering process thus far on a scale from 1 to 10. And did I hear you say you'll be here till how are you going to manage that?
okay.
We can address those three for now.
Sorry, I just want to be sure that I got your last question there. On the scale of 1 to 10, how will you rate the preparations?
And how are you going to manage the runoff?
If there is one, okay.
If there is any?
Okay. And then runoff. Okay. All right. So I'll start with the question from Juma, who wanted to know what the attitude of will be, especially with respect to many reported cases of violence and some reported cases of intimidation, especially because the Commonwealth, not only the Commonwealth Secretary General witnessed the electoral pledge, and I've referred to that also in the course of this presentation. I want to say first that the commitment to peace is, and I believe that every Sierra Leonean takes seriously. And it is a commitment which, if you look at the electoral pledge, and especially the speech of the Commonwealth Secretary General, and leadership in ensuring that this peace is maintained. And this role is particularly crucial because leaders make the difference between stability and instability, and in many cases between peace and chaos. What leaders say, how leaders conduct themselves, is usually what trumps supporters and onlookers and others. So the emphasis is on the responsibility of leadership and institutions. And we have made this point very clear. And in our consultations with political parties and with leaders and with institutional heads, we're going to emphasize this. What the world witnessed when the electoral pledge was signed was heartwarming. Commitment of leaders across the political spectrum who said we're going to be committed to ensuring that there is a violence-free election. And we understand the fragility of the situations, not just here in Sierra Leone, but Sierra Leone has experienced very difficult times. Those of us who live in this sub-region and live in this continent know how fragile situations can be. And we cannot afford a situation where there is loss of lives or livelihoods. Nothing is worth that kind of experience again, which is why it's important for us to continue to emphasize to leaders across the board that we cannot afford a situation where the pursuit of political power results in the death or loss of lives of individuals. And as the Commonwealth, and as I said, we will make sure that we emphasize this to institutional heads and to let everyone know and to let them realize that, especially of leadership. I think Sherlock wanted to know, considering all the statements we've heard so far about intimidation, can we make recommendations before the elections? Well, we cannot. What we intend to do, and I've said, the process that we're undertaking at this point, consultation and engagement with institutions, with political heads, with heads of political parties, with the civil, all of those stakeholders who are important in this electoral process. So while open recommendations is not what we intend to do, I mean, of course, we've said here today what our views are about stability, about how the process should be free, fair, credible, and inclusive process. But what is important at this point is not to make some, public recommendations. At this stage, it's important to engage the major players in the political process so that they understand clearly where we stand as an observer group, the world stands, because everyone is looking in on the elections here in Sierra Leone. So what's important for us today is to ensure that we convey that to them, and also the concerns that have been expressed. All the concerns that have been expressed, all these concerns you're expressing about intimidation, about violence, and all of that. These are concerns that in the press, that individuals have expressed, politicians and people have expressed. So these concerns, of course, must be thoroughly investigated. We must ensure that they are not to fester in any way, such as to jeopardize the outcome of the elections. But at this stage of the process that we're engaging in, is actually talking to those who we believe will be important in the process. And we want to make sure that they clearly understand where the stands. Patrick wanted to know on the scale of 1 to 10 how you rate the entire electioneering process. You know, when you say 1 to 10, it's my doctor who always asks me that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much pain do you feel? You know, let me just say that first. You know, again, it will be unfair. Within a day or two of having arrived here, I think that at this stage we're unable to make that kind of specific finding as to where the rate, how we see the entire process. But that, of course, will emerge, especially in our interim report, which will come on the 26th. But I think what is important for us is taking into account what we're hearing, what is being said, and ensuring that that is the object of the consultations that we're having with the important stakeholders in this process. You know. So at this point, we're not able to make clear. With respect to the runoff, in the event of the runoff, in the event of a runoff, the Commonwealth position, of course, is that we will assess that, and there's a need for us to observe that process. We should consider all of that. So we will not necessarily run away because there's a runoff. It will be, yes.
Thank you, sir. So we'll take a few more from yourself. Do you want a question and yourself as well? Okay.
Africa, Hidden Voice magazine. According to what you have got from our speaker, the Commonwealth has a wealth of experience in these matters. They have observed other countries before coming here, and as he has told us, he's still on the consultation stage. Before, during, and after the elections, and I'm sure we have been engaging appropriate stakeholders in these matters. What can you tell us about the United Front? What can you tell us about the one-mindedness of the stakeholders as they are going to the polls in as much as your observation is concerned?
Your Excellency, I'm Emmanuel representing the Citizen Director of Peace from the US. Is it true to say right now that you are a physician and the state doctors' agreement, but the problem lies with false suspicion, because we as patients as surveillance observe that we have a virus and also we are intoxicated with power. So is it true to say that now actually the healing has to be done with surveillance rather than a Commonwealth? We've signed a patient agreement by the stakeholders, right? And you as a physician, you come to help us to heal. Well, the healing process are ready to take the medication prescribed. So that is to say now the process of going for our children's future lies with us as survivors.
Yes.
Yes, good morning. I am Jim. My question is that what would you say is the most risk factor, the salient risk factor that will affect the observation mission? So it does happen, will it affect the democratic development of the country?
Please repeat that.
Okay. My question is, what would you say will be the most risk factor, the salient risk factor that will affect the observation mission? If that happens, will that affect the democratic development of this country?
And this risk factor is one that will affect the observer mission.
Will it affect the democratic development?
Okay, all right. Okay, so I go on with this.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
thank
we
you.
can.
All right. Issa Kamara, what our views are about the one-mindedness of the politicians, I assume, going into the election. Now, again, we're at this point, and on that, we have to consult, we have to speak to them, we have to hear them, and we're just in that process. So I don't think it would be fair to say anything about what the politicians at this point. I think it will be premature because we're just consulting, we're just talking to them. But we hope that everyone will be united around, because really at the end of the day that's crucial. Whatever political outcomes there are, we must emphasize that the country where people can live in peace and pursue their livelihoods in a peaceful environment. Emmanuel, you said that I'm intrigued by your by the metaphors that you've used, but I must say that we cannot credit myself with being a physician, but I agree with you that the future and fate of this nation lies in the hands of Sierra Leoneans, without a doubt. That the process by which leadership is chosen is one that is credible, is inclusive, is transparent, gives everyone a fair chance. All of these processes and everything else, must take into account the fact that it is people that we're talking about, people of a nation, with men, women, children, millions of them that we're talking about. And that we must just always bear that in mind, that we're not, this is not just statistics, it's not just numbers, it's about people, lives, people. So I think, that this lies in the hands of Sierra Leoneans, but we also emphasize that the role of leadership is particularly important. Political leadership is particularly important on all sides of the polemic. How people react to situations and how people react to circumstances. So I agree with you that this responsibility is that of Sierra Leone. Also more so the responsibility of leaders. James, what is the most salient risk factor that will affect the democratic process? In my view, that will be chaos, violence, and chaos. I think that will compromise everything. It will compromise not just the elections, but the future stability and development of the country. So for me, that is something that we must work against in every possible way. which is why we take, all the trouble about peace and election. I think that if there is one factor that could affect the democratic process, disastrously, that would be instability. I think those are the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We'll just have the last questions here, ma'am. Two ladies, and then we can end the round of questions.
Thank you. My name is Olufemi Adeyemi. I'm an elections researcher. I want to ask about if it is in the remit of the Commonwealth Observer Mission to look at the proportion of women represented, to look at the results hereafter, and how this has been affected by the recent passage of the Gender Equality Bill.
How does it affect it?
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Princess Pias. I work for a real estate agent. My concern here has to do with the independent assessment of whether the election has been conducted in a manner, because it was stated in the media memo sent. So when will we have access to the reports? And then secondly, another one of experts from different fields. It has to do with law, human rights, media, gender, diplomacy, and election administration. How would this help in the electioneering process? Thank you.
Princess. Yes, those will be our final two.
I think Olufola wanted to know about whether we're paying attention to the representation of women, especially in the light of the Gender Equality Bill. The 30%, I believe, is the one that specifies that at least 30%, there should be 30% representation of women. And, not only do we have representation in our observer group of expertise that will consider this women's groups, and we'll be speaking, I think, even today to a group that will assist us looking at this issue and paying attention to exactly what is going on with respect to representation of women. For Commonwealth, as you know, one of the pillars for us of credible elections is inclusivity. And inclusivity, of course, the role of women, and aside from the role of other vulnerable groups, the role of women is also very important. And here in Sierra Leone, particularly so, because of the very, but I think it's with respect to political participation, that there is some emphasis, and we intend to make findings on that, and with recommendations, because this is an issue that's been grappled with in very many Commonwealth countries, the issue of inclusivity, gender representation, and we will make our recommendations, especially based on some of the knowledge and expertise that's been gathered from other Commonwealth countries, engagements with other Commonwealth countries, and we'll do the best we can to pass that on. Institutions and political parties can be informed of best practices here and there, and how to ensure that we actually get results from legislation that promises to know about when you get the first reports of independent assessment. The first reports, the first official report, which will be made public, will be on the 26th. After we will finalize, we'll have a final report, which will be concluded and then published and made available. But the very first report, where you'll find our assessment, will be on the 26th of June. But the last point that you raised, aside from the... Oh, yeah, yes. You wanted to know how the different... I think that practically every feature, especially of the things that the Commonwealth believes to be important in the democratic process, we have expertise in every one of those areas. So we have expertise in election management, we have expertise amongst us, even, someone who has been electoral commissioner, in a country that has over 900 million voters. I mean, I used to think that Nigeria, I used to think that we Dr. Zaidi is here from India, where he served meritoriously as electoral commissioner, and that's over close to 1 billion registered voters. So that kind of expertise obviously will help a great deal here in Sierra Leone, where the numbers are relatively smaller. And that's exactly what you'll find with a lot of the experience and expertise that's available. Media, for example, those who've served, and who have watched media, I think there's Sangwani, who's here, who's been practically across Africa, not just monitoring and observing elections, but so there's a wide range of expertise. We have 2 justices of courts in the Commonwealth who are here. These are judges of the courts. We're also going to be speaking to the judiciary, and they will be speaking to the rights and ensuring balance. We have that level of expertise here as well, people who have considerable experience. So I think that the expertise we'll find here will be extremely useful in coming to an assessment of, coming to an assessment of the way here has gone, and will certainly help in our ability to assist the institutions and assist the political process with the reports that we'll be submitting. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, and everyone. That concludes today's press conference. Please note that the chair's speech and also a press release that we will issue shortly after this will be available on our website. And if you've so please, I think most everybody, I have your contact details, so we will be sending that to you. Sorry, we don't have any hard copies, but there will be the speech. As mentioned by the chair, our next press conference will be on the 26th. And in the interim, if we do have any media engagements while at the polls, I'll also like to also thank the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists for assisting us in disseminating the information, and also AYB, who is streaming this live to the people of Sierra Leone.
Well, from below we the watch, the press conference conclude with Professor Yemi Osibanjo in statements on behalf of the team, as well as question and answers. So and the questions that we follow. So then say not just the observation, but they will be engaging different institutions and stakeholders. They will be engaging different institutions and states to ensure a free, fair, and credible elections on behalf of the people of Sierra Leone. On behalf of the CIGM media team, we broadcast shortly, and we will join Una again soon. At least we'll be on the road. Like we stated, we are here specifically for the elections. So it's Sierra Leone having other engagements. So please subscribe, share, and make sure you follow we both on YouTube and Facebook and with other platforms, so that you will get first-hand analysis of the elections process. Me Jumaba, on behalf of the CIGM media team, they say roundup. We want for see if we're able to talk to a few people. How are you, sir? Yeah, what's your name?
Mina Ishmael, that is Bango.
Ishmael?
Yeah.
Press you with?
I do with Sierra Times, Sky Times, and Fine TV.
Okay, so what do you think so far about the press conference?
I think it's clear, but it's just an introduction. About a feel waiting the press with the expect at least we've been visited under assess, and then they can give you the assessment so far. But according to them, they're just there, so then 2 or 3 days, so they're not doing. And then don't hear something there. So because of them things they don't hear, then they engage every stakeholder. So we hope the engagement will yield a better fruit.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah, what's your name?
I'm Bishop Emmanuel Kuyate.
Bishop Kuyate. Yes. So are you a journalist, a press person, or just a civil society? Talk to the camera here.
Well, actually, I serve both because let's really don't understand, say, this is about the future.
Right.
And so, while we expecting the Commonwealth and other organizations to come and assist with, but the future of Sierra Leone lies in the hands of Sierra Leone. Because they only come and help. And if we as patients does not want help, there's nothing else they can do.
Okay, so what's your take on the statement from the Commonwealth lead observer?
Well, my vision, but they cannot go beyond that because they cannot force us to accept what we. They cannot accept.
So with that statement, do you think their presence would create any impact in the process?
It depends again because as long as they have a set goal, political parties have a set goal, the presence of observers is not going to make any difference.
Right.
They are specialized in election area, everything. We have doctors that are specialized in various diseases, but when COVID came, it's a new brand. So every year, if we are the patients that are infected with this virus and are willing to take the medication to get healed, there's nothing they can do.
Right. Thank you so much, Bishop. Thank you. Well, we don't talk to a few people. I don't know if the observer team, they allow for talk to we or not just the official statement. Let me just ask and see if they're allowed to talk to us. Hello, sir. Excuse me. Are you allowed to talk to the press or just the official statement?
No, it's the chair. You wanted to speak to the chair?
Yeah, if possible.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, or just the official statement? Should go talk to Josephine?
Yeah.
All right.
I enjoyed the program.
All right, well, Fambulem, I think we don't get the official statement. So for now, that's suffice. They're not going to allow for do a private interview or talk to the other different experts, former electoral commissioners, judges of the Commonwealth, and media people, all sorts of expertise there with them carry it for make sure so they engage the different institutions them for help with the process. So we go end today's broadcast here, and we go join Una again. Thank you so much for joining CIGM Media Live as we are on this Sierra Leone 2023 election trail with the cover campaigns, with the cover different events them, and for following, so you go to get real-time updates. And we do apologize for the earlier sound, but some things are beyond our control. But thank you so much. Mijumaba, they say.